Okay, we have 85,315 miles on this vehicle, and this is how it sounds when you start it normally. Just a couple seconds of crank over and it fires right up. The problem that I'm having is if I get into the vehicle when the vehicle is cold, or if it's just been sitting for a while, I go to crank it over, it cranks over several times before it actually starts. You almost kind of wonder if it's going to start. My goal is to document this and provide a solution that at least works for me. So that's the first thing I did is I filled up with 93 octane, and as you can see, I've got a half a tank left, and it's still doing it. Because typically there's no difference. If anything, it's the symptoms becoming more consistent. But the car's been sitting, or the truck has been sitting for about 8 hours. The symptoms should occur now. I'm gonna do a couple things first, because I read this on the internet that maybe it might be the vehicle preventing it from starting because of the interlock system of the locking system. So as strange as that may sound, I'll cycle that a few times. I also heard that sometimes the transmission between the key and the computer may be delayed. So I'll put the key in the slot for a few seconds to give it time, and then we'll see if the symptom is still here. So yep, there it is. Did you catch that? Probably took at least twice as long for it to start. So this vehicle does not have flex fuel. I don't believe any TSB is involved with my symptom right now. So I have gone to work, and I'm getting back into my vehicle after about 8 to 9 hours. Okay, I'm gonna show you the symptom again. Yeah, did you hear that? Took a little bit, kind of a hard start there. Guy at work says he's convinced it's my battery. So I want to check these terminals to make sure that they're clean. Take the negative terminal off first. You want to start with the negative, take the negative off first. Compartment, that was loose. Take this off. I'm gonna clean the terminals on the battery. Do the same with the positive side. And I'll do the same thing to the terminals. That's this end of the clean. Next, get yourself some battery terminal protectant and cleaner. We'll start with putting the positive terminal back on. I'm gonna make sure. So that's nice and tight, it's not moving. All right, now for the negative terminal. Nice and tight. Now I'll spray the protectant. After I reconnected everything, started my truck up, it started and then died on itself. It kind of freaked me out. But then when I started a second time, it started right up. So maybe that's just a symptom of disconnecting the battery. Hope it's not anything worse, but we'll let her sit for a while and see if the symptoms still exist. All right, I let it sit overnight, so it's had some time to sit. Nope, that didn't fix it either. So the interesting thing is it only does it on the initial startup, and then it starts up fine afterwards. I am not the original owner of this vehicle. So what I was doing was just inspecting my fuel lines. I actually was looking for my fuel pressure regulator. So I took this top cover off, and as I was doing my inspection of my fuel lines, I noticed a few things. First, we have some missing hardware. So someone's been up inside here. Then I was following it back around, and when I got to here, I noticed this. So my air intake in this box here, and so this hose is disconnected, and it looked like there's supposed to be a hose here. So as I look around, I see this disconnected, and it looks like it's going to that looks like my fuel pressure regulator. So my first question is, why would somebody have my fuel pressure regulator disconnected? And so I just went ahead and plugged it back in. And I plugged this hose back in. And so I'm a little bit nervous right now because I've owned it a little over a year. I'm afraid I'm going to start getting some codes now. So before I go too much further, I'm going to run it with this hose connected. And let's see if any fuel comes out. Alright, so I've been out here about 5 minutes. There's nothing coming out of there. I'm going to put this tube back on. Line back on and connect it to the obvious spot. Alright guys, ladies, gentlemen, wish me luck. Maybe this was the problem to begin with. Alright, I'm going to drive it around for a little bit, make sure no engine light comes on, and then I'll get my mind back on track for the starting problem that I originally was diagnosing. Alright, to kill two birds with one stone, I'm going to go ahead and charge this battery overnight. Of the vent caps removed. Okay, battery charger disconnected, battery caps put back on. Alright, let's see how she starts this morning. Pretty nice. Eh? Today is day 3 and I'm symptom free. If my symptom does come back over time, I will definitely focus on the battery. Okay, day 4 symptom did return. So I went ahead and bought a new battery. Unfortunately, symptom still occurs. So one thing I was doing was I was messing with the fuel pump relay earlier. I went ahead and swapped it with my I swapped my fuel pump relay with my fog light relay and switched them around. And waited a few hours, but that didn't fix it either. So I'm really drawing at strings here, people. I don't know what is causing this thing to slow start, and I'm so scared that I'm going to lose a fuel pump or something, because I'm about ready to go on a trip right now. And you know what? I got my tools in the back of the truck and just prepare the best I can. I'm going back to the gasoline again. I'm going to do nothing but fill up with 93 octane. Okay, went on about a 2,000 mile trip, 2 full tanks of 93 octane, and truck was starting up pretty good. And then after about 2 days, started acting up again, intermittently, but still it was acting up again. So, and that's on 93 octane fuel. So I'm not 100% convinced that it's the fuel, that maybe the higher octane fuel is creating kind of a band-aid for the true symptom. Yeah, so I'm going to try a few more things here, just off the top of my head. If I keep drawing straws too much longer, I'm going to take it to the dealership. But regardless, I'm going to post updates along the way. One of the things I'm going to start with is, since I did find some vacuum lines disconnected back here, I'm going to go ahead and take all this stuff off. I'm going to take it all off to make sure there's no other vacuum lines disconnected. And if anything, I'd get it all cleaned up. But I just want to make sure I'm not overlooking anything. When I'm following this fuel line back, all the way back here, I noticed that it too is, the bracket has been disconnected. And as you can see, it's got a place for hardware, but it's not secured. And then when I follow this harness back, something just didn't look right with this harness here. Even though this was in here like this, even though that was in there like that, I just didn't like the way this harness is sitting up against my engine with these wires showing. And this right here, part of the harness, it's supposed to be secured somewhere. So something just doesn't look right. I can see evidence of a critter living inside this bad boy. Look at all the little acorns. Little chipmunk. Alright. I'll get all this vacuumed up. I'll keep my eye out for anything obvious. Okay, before I button everything back up, I'm going to take all these negative connections that are going to the frame. Everywhere I see one, I'm going to clean it up. Clean the corrosion off. So I got one coming from the block going here. I've got a few right there that are underneath the air filter. And anywhere I see them, I'm just gonna remove the screws, sand the terminals down so we get a good connection, sand the frame down behind them, and when I put them back on, I'm gonna spray a protectant over them. That way I know I have good negative connection to the frame. The surface where it makes contact. Battery terminal corrosion spray, corrosion protection spray. I read this on the internet too, by the way, to clean these connections up real good. Battery corrosion preventative spray. All right, I cleaned that one off too. Put some corrosion preventative spray. Corrosion preventative spray. Okay, all back together. What did I accomplish? Not a whole heck of a lot. I cleaned the negative terminals going to the frame. Back there, underneath there, and right there. I cleaned up a bunch of little chipmunk acorns that were stuck underneath the fuel lines back there. I resecured some, or actually replaced some missing hardware on some hoses that were just dangling in there, so I did that. Other than that, I did nothing. So I might just post this online because I need your help. Please give me your feedback, and before I take it to the dealership. Thanks.